Royalty is how franchisors make their money. Our franchisees pay $500 a month and it tiers up. We like that model for various reasons for our business, but a lot, and I'd say 95% of the industry is a percent of your revenue, 5 to 7, 8% of your revenue. That's what you have to come. For those businesses that are not fixed, they've got to put the resources in place to make sure their franchisees are building and growing every single year so those royalties go up.
Welcome to the Small Business Mentor podcast, where we shine a light on the black holes of business growth with your host, Alan Pence. In each episode, we explore the leaps and bounds entrepreneurs make as they push their businesses beyond the 1 million mark into the realm of professional sustainable growth. Stay with us as we navigate the journey from brute force to finesse.
All right. On the pod today, we have a very special guest, the man, the legend, Cliff Kennedy, who is the proprietor of Frios Popsicles. Welcome to the pod, Cliff.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is the man that has the cojones to sell pickle-flavored popsicles. I was completely stunned by this when I learned about it. So give us a little background on Frios, like what it is and how it works.
Yeah, simply put, that we're the modern day ice cream truck. Our franchisees all across the country ride around in a tie-dye wrap Sprinter van and sell happiness for a living is what we say. I can't get it more complicated than that. There's no brick and mortar or anything. It's just, we're just ice cream salespeople.
Awesome. And so you guys have sort of like newer flavors. What's sort of like the take?
You have to go right at the worst flavor possible, I feel like. So I appreciate that shout out there. That is the one day I leave our production facility because I don't want to smell the pickle. I love pickles, but I've never been like the pickle pop or anything like that, but people absolutely love it.
This is a tradition in the South, is it, or the Midwest?
Yeah, it's the South, but it's also pickle juice is great for when you get cramps and stuff for athletes. So a lot of work sites will get it for their employees. And then at like the ball fields during the summer and everything, the kids will eat one and it just keeps away the cramps.
So give us an idea beyond pickle. You have other sort of better flavors.
Yeah, we've got strawberry mango. We got blueberry cheesecake. The first one I ever tried was key lime pie. It's got graham cracker. It's like something your grandmother made. I lost a serious game of paper, rock, scissors to my son. And so thank God I did. He helped us develop blue raspberry, which is now our like number 2 or 3 flavor. Then you got cookies and cream and chocolate and all that kind of stuff and a bunch of seasonal flavors. Right now, we're rolling out watermelon and strawberry mojito, which are really, really good.
So to me, this is sort of like what Ben and Jerry, I think it was Ben and Jerry's did for ice cream. You're kind of doing for popsicles, right? These kind of newer, more interesting flavors. It's not just like lime, orange, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah. We're just not like the grape strawberry 3-pack at the grocery store type thing. It is more that gourmet. It is something special when you eat it. And it's kind of, you remember it.
And so you've built this into a franchise concept.
Yeah. So my backstory is I was in the oil and gas world my entire life. My grandfather started that company and my mom owns it to this day. And my brothers are in it and everything else. But I got stuck in traffic, tried our key lime pie pop. May 1st of 2018, I became a franchisee of Frios. I bought out 3 territories. And then from May 1st of 2018, I called the owner of the company in August. I said, I want to buy the company. He said, I'll call you back tomorrow. And then he called me back the next day in August and we started negotiating. And that took over December 21st of 2018. So a quick 8-month span of franchisee to franchisor, bought the company and moved it from Gadsden, Alabama to Mobile.
How many, what do you call it, units or franchises were there?
Right. We had territories. So we had about 18, 20 territories when I bought it. We're at 112 as of today.
Wow. That's impressive growth. Any other numbers you're willing to share? Like what, I know it's heavily regulated.
Yeah, no, we just released an item 19. So there's a lot of different things in our item 19, the franchising world that is this kind of like your side hustle that you don't have to do it full time because it is mobile and it's just something you want to do nights and weekends. And we have a lot of people that buy this franchise for their kids to teach them the value of $1 in a very simple system. So it's anywhere from $20,000 to $200,000 or a little bit more, according to how many territories you get and all those different things. All those variables are inside of our FGDs because somebody that is doing this 40, 50 hours a week, really hustle, they are putting in and going to make more than the person that's putting in, 10, 15, 20 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And how about the overall company? Like, where are you revenue wise?
That's just one of the things we don't share because it's kind of separated and all that kind of stuff of my manufacturing business and everything. So, yes, it's one of the things we kind of keep.
And then you guys probably disclose like what does it cost to get set up in the business?
Yeah, so it's anywhere from 60 to $93,000 and you're up and running. So a territory of 150,000 people is $37,000 and you put a down payment on the van of 10,000 and you're off to the races. I mean, you can start wholesaling, you can start selling out of carts. So there's multiple revenue streams for our business. That's what everyone really loves. So it's not necessarily B2C, it's a lot of B2B. So you're getting that, hey, big corporate event. We'd love to do 1,000 popsicles for lunchtime, whatever it is. So it's a lot of B2B business for us.
And then do you guys give them like a playbook on like, here are the types of events and blah, blah, blah?
We've got so much content, material, everything they need, sales scripts, email scripts, everything to go out. We already give them, we start them out with a little over 100 people or more, or 100 people to contact or more day one. So they're off to the races selling. We've given them how to do it, who to call, where to call, when to call, all that. So basically all they have to do is pick up the phone and call. We try to take out all the guesswork. So the biggest thing for us, Alan, is we're not a food truck. I know it might seem like it. We're not a food truck. We're an ice cream truck. Totally different on the regulation side because you're selling a pre-packaged product. I've got a video out there. It's like, oh yes, here's how we set up. We're going to let you in on a secret on how we set up for an event. You just open the serving window and that's it. There's no grease trap. There's no machines to crank up. You're ready to go. So the simplicity around the business just resonates with a lot of people.
And it's like a pre-fitted like Sprinter van that you buy.
Yeah. I mean, it's got the freezer in it. It's got an inverter. It's got lights. It's got sounds. It's got everything you want. Just you plug it up and go.
And they're leasing that.
Yep. Lease to own.
Is it regional in a sense? Like, does it work better in the South versus?
Yeah, we're kind of regional right now. We're heading the Southeast. I mean, we've got New York, we've got Minnesota, we've got Arizona, Colorado, but majority of our people are in Texas, Alabama, the Carolinas, heading the Southeast, obviously.
Do you guys do like advertising support in the areas or that kind of thing?
Yep. How we've got it, like everyone else does, is Canva. So we've got all these scripted models or whatever they can do. All they got to do is plug and play a couple of words here or there, and it resonates great for their city, county, municipality, their communities and everything. So it's really just plug and play for them.
And so basically they're running the advertising in their own area. Like, is there something about it that's Southern that makes it more resonant there? I mean, it's hotter, I guess, but
No, it's just one of the things that our core focus was. I mean, we don't need to cast a wide net. We can cast and sell 100 more territories just in the state of Florida alone. So I don't need to go to California. I don't need to go to Oregon, all those places. Obviously, it's a distribution nightmare going all the way out west. So as long as we stay in our core area, these 22 states that we're in, and we can expand a little bit more, I mean, we could have 600, 700 territories across the country in the next couple of years just by staying here.
so what happens if like Kroger comes to you and they're like, we want to sell these all over the country because we love
I say no.
so you've made a choice for the business basically by being a franchise.
Yeah. I mean, we do a little bit of private label. So with our manufacturing capabilities. So if Kroger did come, we could say, yeah, we can make it your brand for you. We don't need to make it for us. So we do have some customers out there that we will put their label, their wrap, their everything. We just make it in our manufacturing facility.
And I know you bought the business, right? So you didn't make this decision, but like, I don't know if you've reflected on it. Like, if you have sort of a unique product, like you do, right? Different kinds of flavors that has like a niche, right? You could go a traditional CPG route and go to stores and not franchise and not have the Sprinter van and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever thought about the contrast of those business models?
A lot. It's two totally different worlds, CPG to what we do. So if I'm selling CPG to Kroger and all that kind of stuff and putting the Frios brand or whatever it is, first of all, they're going to want a much lower priced product. So I'm cutting the hands of my franchisees in discounting a gourmet product. We can force them to go high. They're just not probably going to sell as much. But then also for your slotting fees and everything else that you have to do, it's a nightmare. I mean, I've got friends in the CPG space and they're like, look, if you do that, you got to pay slotting fees. You're going to have this best slotting fees and they don't like you, the return, everything else. It's like, it's just don't want to deal with that. Well, I'll do that when I can go to my franchisees, support them, and they can go into everywhere in their community and sell. And it's just much easier.
Do you think that there's like a value difference? Like, is building a CPG brand and all these chains and stuff, would that be more valuable than a franchise?
No, I think it's two totally different things. I mean, what are they going to trade on a multiple of their EBITDA? I think with franchising, I think there's more structure and there's more security of a brand like that because once you grow to 100, you get out of like what is called the emerging status. Once you're out of that, so we're out of there. So it gives you more validity that you've got staying power. But when you get to the CPG space, you got to prove out that you're going to be a Yasso or Chloe, somebody like that, that's just going to grow and they're going to demand the right window space, everything else, right slotting fees. They're going to get bought up rather than up and comers that, hey, we're only going to try you in 30 of our regional stores. And if you have success, then we'll roll you out. There's just a lot more uncertainty in CPG world. I mean, it's tough.
I had a friend who was running they were doing like beverage mixers and they were selling in this, they were CPG. And it just felt like every dollar you earn in CPG goes back into getting more, into more places. So like in the end, if you're successful, it's sort of like almost like a venture capital model. It's like it has this huge dispersion of, this huge tail of very few companies like Yasso that hit it. And then they're going to be worth tons of money, but they won't make a dime on the way. They will not pull a dollar out of that business.
It is economies of scale business. That's what everything almost. If it's real estate, you got to have a bunch of properties to make a lot of money. It's everything else. You got to grid it out and invest everything back into your business. Same thing I'm doing. Invest everything I get back into my business until I get to 500, 600, 700, 1,000 units. Then that's when we can be wildly profitable and everything else. But that's not my focus. I want to get to that scale and economies and everything else. Same thing.
It seemed to me on your business that it would be easier to run profitably. But I guess there is a scale factor, right? You've got to get to scale too, right? It's just a different distribution member.
You got to get to scale. You got to get your royalty you got to become royalty sufficient because there's not many, if any, franchisors that are profitable for many years because you've got team, you got payroll, you got everything else. You got to get your royalty stream coming in. You've got to offset that balance. And so it becomes very tough and you got to just grid it on.
Is that a technical term like in the industry? Royalty, did you say sufficient?
Royalty is everything. Like royalty is how franchisors make their money. So ours is fixed. So our franchisees pay $500 a month and it kind of tiers up. We like that model for various reasons for our business, but a lot, and I'd say 95% of the industry is a percent of your revenue, 5 to 7, 8% of your revenue. That's what you have to come like. So for those businesses that are not fixed, they've got to put the resources in place to make sure their franchisees are building and growing every single year. So those royalties go up. Our system it's fixed. We know what it is. We're not punishing their success or anything like that. So it doesn't matter if my franchisee is doing 300,000 or 3,000, like it's a set royalty. Our is a little bit different.
So I guess what you were saying is like, you've got to grow that royalty stream to cover all the back costs and there's like a point.
Yeah, every business knows what their operating expenses are. And it's like, how do I get my revenue to match that? And then how do I continue to grow that? Understanding that your OpEx is going to increase because as you get more franchisees, you got to hire another ops person or another marketing person. So that game is constantly growing, and to a point that you got an amazing team and everything else. And you continue to grow your royalty stream and your territories. And then that's when you become a big company.
Where do you think that is for Frios? Like, what's that inflection point?
It's different because we're about to add some more people. So it's constantly it's kind of like a moving target. So we're good where we want to be now. So now it's like, okay, now we need to add some more people. Okay. So then we got to get this many more territories and this much more revenue and everything else. So it's just like that moving target of growth in a business.
Is there a level though, you think, where it's like, hey, this is like, we've hit it. We're now a super valuable company and like kind of your own.
I'll leave no secret behind. I want to be the next Kona Ice. Kona Ice has 1,600 locations across the country. I firmly believe that with our business model, look at Kona Ice. They're flexible. I mean, they're a mobile business and they sell frozen ice, a dessert. We're a mobile business that sells ice cream. There's thousands upon thousands of ice cream trucks across the country. We realize that we've modernized that and, through innovation and everything else, but beyond just being in the truck, like Kona Ice, you have to be in the truck. You can't wholesale shaved ice. We can wholesale it. Go to your country club, go to a resort. They buy tons of cases from our franchisees. So we got added revenue streams. So I just think we could be the next Kona Ice.
I love that. So 1,600, like getting to 1,000 sounds like maybe that's you're like at scale kind of thing.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, there's very few, I mean, less than probably 1% of franchisors in the world are at 1,000 or more. So yeah, you're going into rare air. And I just firmly believe we can do it.
And so for you, the real crucial thing is recruiting franchisees, right? That's your game.
That's everyone. I mean, that's the nature of this business. I'm not saying cutthroat, but we're all looking for that person that wants to be an entrepreneur and get them, as we tell everyone, as much as you want to be a part of this company or Frios, we got to make sure you're a right fit. So it's that due diligence that we're doing and with discovery days and everything else and making sure, hey, look, we're not just bringing anybody in. It's just an open door and saying yes to everyone. You still got to be the right fit for us.
So talk a little bit about that. Do you guys have like an ideal franchisee persona?
Yeah, we want that extrovert, that sales marketing background, very involved in their community. That's what we're looking for. I mean, you're in the sales business with this. So getting out in the community, putting that smile on your face, every one of our, what we call happiness hustlers, once they get involved in the community, they're like, oh, you're the Frios person. You're this guy. Like, you're the one that has pops. Like, you instantly become the most popular person on the street. It's like, I used to bring Frios home all the time. I've got 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5 right now. And so I'd bring them some home and they'd always want to eat some. That's great. And all of a sudden I realized, like, man, just brought like 20 popsicles home. They went pretty fast because, there's 15 bicycles outside my house now. Like all of my friends, like I went home one time. My kids I knew weren't there. They were going out of town with my wife or something. And some of their friends showed up to the house and they were like, hey, are your kids here? I was like, no, they're out of town. They're like, oh, we weren't really here for them anyways. Can we just get a Frios? I was like, this is my problem.
Oh, that's when you decide I'm buying the company, right? So the profile is somebody who's like maybe involved in the schools, the church, the whatever, teachers.
Teachers are great because look what happens during the summertime. Teachers are out of school. When's the perfect time? They got the connections to the school and everything else. They can offset that income that they get. Perfect. Let's do this while we're out during peak season.
And so that's why you guys need to charge that minimum, right? Too, is because you can't give a territory where it's probably variable on how much they do. Because it's like how many times they go out.
When I bought the business, it was a 5%. But I just realized saying, hey, look, let's not punish people's success. Let's flatline this thing. And look, I'm sure there's cash involved and everything else, a lot of reporting, all that kind of crazy stuff that happens. But look, I'm not going to punish your success. You know what's coming out of your ACH every single month. You don't have to worry about it. All you know now, it helps them out. It's like, hey, here's my fixed costs. Here's my van payment. Here's my insurance. Here's my royalty. Perfect. I know I have to sell X amount of pops to pay this, and then everything else is to the good. So it just helps them out run their business.
What's their monthly cost usually that they've got to cover?
I haven't really tracked that. I mean, their monthly cost is basically just a van payment, some insurance, and then, buying the pops, obviously.
So it's going to be a few thousand. It's going to be 2,500, 3,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they've got to go out and sell enough to cover that. That's interesting. And you said you got kids whose parents put them in this?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of our most successful franchisees, he bought this for his daughter to teach her how to run a business, and they did it together. I mean, I've got several stories like that they just want to say, hey, look, you're buying it for X, you're selling it for Y. That's it. Like, and it's not some complicated process. They're not having to worry about grease traps or machines to clean or anything like that. They're like, okay, this is fun. I'm already at my kids' ball fields during the weekend and I'm seeing thousands of people. Why not us make some money while we're doing that?
So how does that work though? Like, I've never thought about like when people, do they have to have licenses all the time to like go to like XYZ park or do they just drive around?
No, you just get your local business license, say you're an ice cream truck, and then you can go to the parks. You can go to everywhere you want to at that point.
I guess like festivals and stuff, do they gate you though?
Music festivals, strawberry festivals, pickle festivals that somebody bought a bunch of pickle pops to, all those things. But like, think of, for me, my son plays travel baseball and we've been going to the tournaments, and thank God this is the last weekend. There's going to be 97 teams at this. So let's just say there's 97, put 10 kids on a team. There's 970 boys already and girls on teams. Then you got coaches. Then you got the parents, thousands of people at this thing. Like, Frios will be there and just slinging pops one after the other.
The franchisee doesn't have to pay to get access to that?
Sometimes they'll do like, hey, yeah, like if there's an organizer, like, hey, it's $150 because you're about to make a lot of business or something like that. Yeah, there's festival fees and stuff.
Okay, interesting. I love the idea. I mean, it feels like low cost, get in, it's fun, super simple business, right?
The flexibility of this, it's not you're tied to a 10-year lease of a brick and mortar or anything like that. And like the carrying cost of a big brick and mortar, millions of dollars. There's a time and place for everyone in life. Maybe the time is right now that you need to become a Frios franchisee. And maybe 2 years, if you bought this for your kid and they go off to college or they do something else, perfect. It's a pretty fluid business to sell and trade as well. So, sometimes we do get franchisees like, I just want to do this for a couple of years, transition, or we're moving now, everything else. Okay, we'll help you sell the territory off. Or do you want to move? There's a lot of different things that the advantages of us over many other people.
So then how do you get the franchisees? Is it through social advertising? Like what referrals? I guess all those.
It's all that. It's the ads that we place. A lot of it is word of mouth. We'll have people say, oh my God, I was just visiting my family in Keller, Texas, and I saw a Frios and I tried one. I was like, oh my God, we don't have anything like this back where I live. And they'll call us and then they'll become a franchisee. And there's broker networks and consultants and all that kind of stuff out there helping sell the brand as well.
Now we met because we were doing X growth stuff with Nick Haluski and co-founders. Have you found that like that driving that kind of social engagement as like an effective strategy for franchisee acquisition?
Yeah, I've had a couple of people ask about the brand and become interested just because of the content that I'm posting and putting out there. It's a lot of work because it's me doing it, me responding, doing the engagement, but it's building your brand. And part of building a company is building your personal brand and becoming an expert in your field, so to speak. So the value of X and LinkedIn, especially, those are truly valuable in putting content out there and in creating more engagement, getting people interested in your brand and what you're doing. And other companies involved, like vendors will say, hey, I saw you doing this. Perfect. Let's talk about your product.
That's fascinating that LinkedIn works for this. I would have thought this would be much more like an Instagram. Like it's very, I can see the pictures in my mind, right? But I guess there's some business people who are looking for something to do.
You got to think business people are there. Not all business people on LinkedIn are happy with their current job. And sometimes they're looking at what are people posting? What are people doing? So, yeah.
So one of the things we both talked to Tom Hunt just recently, and I did a podcast interview, and I'll probably post a couple weeks before this one, with a guy, Adam Robinson, who has really, he's a SaaS software guy, but he's really invested and I'm kind of doing a series of these where I'm trying to figure out what's going on with marketing and social. And so this guy, Adam Robinson, invested in LinkedIn. He's doing a lot of, they have like an author, or I can't remember the feature, but some kind of like new way of posting, right, that they want to promote. So he got really into that. He had the wrong profile for a little while, but then he kind of honed in. And so he started really hitting the algorithm, what it's asking for, starting in Labor Day. And then he built an audience until 2 months ago. And in 16 weeks, he's taken a new product he's got, SaaS software product, to $1 million ARR run rate in 16 weeks just from LinkedIn.
Good Lord.
So I think when I hear you, Cliff, first of all, this business is so compelling to people. And I could see the visual, the stories of the teacher who made money, the community base. I mean, it's just like America, apple pie. You probably have an apple pie flavor, who knows? I just feel like social. And so what we were talking about is pretty soon, SaaS seed funders are going to be like, where's your personal brand on LinkedIn? Because that's our customer acquisition methodology. We're not going to go pay for Google ads there, or it's like an arms race there, and it's completely a waste of time. And you're going to spend $3,000 getting one subscriber, and you're now doing it for free on LinkedIn. And CAC is our customer acquisition cost so much lower. So I look at your business, I think it's the exact same thing. It's like the Cliff personal brand across whatever it is. It sounds like LinkedIn works. I'm not sure. Maybe X works or doesn't work.
It all works. It's all a different voice, though. You talk differently on LinkedIn, and you're not always the same kind of content you're putting out on both platforms. I've noticed some are more successful on LinkedIn versus X. And so it's really just finding that voice because it's a different audience. It's a different demographic, everything else. So sometimes you do have to change that voice a little bit in the content that you're putting out. both are intrinsically value in themselves. It's X has created so much value because look at where I am today. I'm talking to you. We met through a group with Nick and everyone else that we've met and podcasts I've been on. That creates a value over there. I think LinkedIn is more specific. Like I am talking to franchisees, franchisors, vendors in that relationship, manufacturers. LinkedIn has been valuable to me because I have found new vendors for my manufacturing facility, everything else. Like has literally made and saved me millions of dollars in my business through LinkedIn. Now it's not free. It costs whatever it is, $900 a year, whatever it is to be a part of it. But I think that is the most undervalued investment anyone can make is becoming like the top tier with LinkedIn and paying for that and using it to your advantage.
So, I mean, I guess my hearing you talk, I'm like, this is a key investment area for you. And like the grind of doing all that personally, I just think I don't know I mean, there are a few, like this guy, Adam, was really doing it, but I think even he's going to have to go to an agency at some point. I do think you're going to have to look to get help with, taking your message, amplifying. And I think like my message to my podcast listeners is like, go start trying to build a personal brand and like realize that it is a grind. You are not going to be able to do it on your own. And you need to find good partners who can ghostwrite, promote, understand the algorithms, help you stay on top of what's happening. I mean, it all needs to be your voice, but I think we need to recognize saying that a founder is going to be posting every day, every single day, 365 days a year, tweaking that content for the right thing in that platform. Come on. That is like, so people do it. No question, but.
No, there's two different things about that. It's like a business. Okay. So there's some people that can start a business and that's great. They're the entrepreneurs. They got something they can create it. They don't know how to take it to the next level. Okay. So they put in all that grunt work and everything else. I think of that myself as I'm finding my voice. I'm getting my followers. I'm building up that. I always say small sticks build big fires. So you got to start with small stick. I'm putting those small sticks.
I love these Southern metaphor. It's also Southern guys have a million of these.
I'm putting those small sticks together and I'm just getting ready to build that bigger fire. So it's like, all right, I'm getting my followers on X. I'm getting my followers on LinkedIn. Okay. At some point I will hand that off to say, now let's build this big fire. Let's build that brand, whatever it may be, in this traction.
Makes a lot of sense. And I just want to get the message out to people. Like, I think there's some amount of like, oh, you're ghostwriting. It's inauthentic. You're full of shit. And I'm like, just look, guys, if this becomes the way that businesses grow and it has to be, and look, you get huge penalties for stopping and starting. You just mentioned to me before the call, like you were getting, thousands of impressions on a tweet and then you stop for a month and now it's like 30, right?
Yeah, exactly. It sucks. You can't stop. But it's like, sometimes my focus as the owner of a business, I need to really hone in and focus on this project. Like I've been on a 3-year packaging project for our shipping department. And it's like just it's been like, I will go into a hole for a week and just like, all right, I'm going to come out and I'm going to have it solved. And I don't. And then literally, you can't see it off camera here, but literally I have solved that problem. Like this has been the greatest week ever. I'm just waiting on one more thing to come in. I was like, holy shit. Like that's but it's like, I'm so focused on it that I stopped for like a month of posting. And it's like, all right, now X is punishing me because I didn't stay on their platform. So now I got to build it back up. I said, it's like working out. You can work out every day. And I've done 200-mile runs before. I've done 100-milers. I've done it all that training and everything else, completed those races. But once I stopped for like 6 months, I just got tired. Now I'm like, go try to tell me to do a 200-miler. I can't do it. Same thing with posting.
I totally hear that. And I think when I'm starting to learn out of talking to people about this and I'm trying to get a more of a conversation going about the realities of what's happening. And there's a lot of opportunity in it. But I think that the message is, and I loved your caveat on it. It's like, yeah, I think you probably do need to engage. You need to be a part of it, big part of it in the beginning to get the voice right, figure out exactly what it is. But there's just no sustainable way to keep doing it. And I don't think anyone should be feeling like they're inauthentic for bringing in agencies. And I think one of my key messages is go find the agencies. Like I'm going to interview a few of them. They're people I know, but go find them to help you because this is a much easier way to get customers. And eventually it'll get overdone and everyone will be doing it. It'll be noise, right? But for right now, it feels like where it's going. And so what what I was talking about last week is seeing this. You've got your organic stuff where you like feed the algorithm what it wants, and you've got to know what that is. And then you've got paid, usually meta ads, like LinkedIn and Twitter don't tend to work that well. And you've got to convert those into something that you own. Now, for you, it might be just like, hey, I'm selling franchisees, so I don't really need any other thing. But the other thing that people are doing, obviously, is like, I want a podcast and a newsletter because those are deeper engagement things. And like, particularly with the newsletter, I have their email addresses. I can get 50,000 people that might ever think about buying a franchise onto my newsletter rather than converting them to actually building a franchise right away. So that might be another thing to look at. It's like, is there another property where you actually get the email addresses and they become a permanent marketing source? That's what I say.
It's all a game, and I love it. That's what I love to do. I'm sales through and through, and like hacking systems and everything else. It's like, look, I want all those things that Kona Ice has, the personalized app, all these platforms. I don't have the resources. I'm not nearly as big as them. But what I do have is the grit and determination to figure out how to do what I can with what I have and amplify that times X.
Yeah, because like what I started seeing, and I mentioned this on the last podcast, is like, say you did a newsletter, right, about something relevant to it, either franchising or that kind of life or something like that, right? Well, what we're finding is like you can get subscribers off of Meta for, once you dial it in, probably $2 a subscriber, something like that. Some people a little more, some people a little less. If you can then build that, say you get 50, 100,000 newsletter subscribers, usually you can convert 1, maybe 2% of them to whatever offer you have. And maybe, I don't know, maybe a franchise offer is too big. Maybe there's intermediate offers on the way. But like I don't know if you guys have an average franchise benefit. Like when you sell someone, what's your lifetime value of that customer? If you can convert 1 to 2% and they're worth $15,000 and you spent $100,000 or $200,000 to build the list, like how many do you have to convert to make that like the best customer channel? And I think that's what people need to start thinking about. Like if you can convert somebody and their lifetime value equals 50,000, holy shit, then you should go start a newsletter and pay for every single subscriber you can get. So anyway, that's something to think about. It's like, I think that, and your story is so perfect for that. Selling popsicles.
Look, I could sit there and have a bourbon with you and go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, and like this is what we can sit here and talk about this for like hours and hours. Like that is what just like fires me inside, like figuring it all out, connecting those dots, putting it all on the whiteboard, like putting those if-then statements together, and like we did this, it equated to this. I got this. No, pulling those levers constantly. I mean, it is a thrill ride.
I don't know. I've gotten really into it. So like I'm going to figure out something in this space eventually where like using this new way of like funneling down people to a newsletter to you own and then figuring out the value proposition to that and converting it that way. I think it's like basically the new way to build a company. And I think right now you see a lot of people like the big newsletter guys, they're just selling advertising. But I think it's much more compelling. You can do it for a lot fewer, they need hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I think you can build SaaS companies, popsicle franchises, all sorts of things by converting those people. And you don't need that many to really make it a compelling proposition.
No, I agree 100%. And I was actually looking in that, and then life takes you in different directions from time to time. But it's like, it's always what's out there, what's being done, and how do you put it in a framework that says, okay, is this that new pipeline that we can really get a good attraction to and a good conversion rate? And you're always looking at ROI, no matter what it is on everything. It's like, okay, we've got this big pool of resources in the marketing space. And like, okay, let's really try to hone in on like 2 or 3 avenues. If it's the newsletter, okay, all right, well, we're getting 1,000 people coming in. We converted 1. Okay, that's still great. The ROI on that, because it's a little bit of work. You get the value of this franchisee coming in as X. All right, but we're doing over here, we get 50,000 and there's only 2. So it's not as good. So it's like, okay, even for us is a quality over quantity and everything else is where you really try to make those numbers work.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, like these new channels that are opening up and how the landscape is shifting, right? So I think before everyone was saying just build organic social, right? And I think what I'm sensing is that world, although it's not gone, it's shifting. And the algorithms are going to constantly change what they want based on what the parent company needs or what's the big thing at the time. And so it's always going to be a game on that side where they're going to eventually funnel you to having to pay for it because that's how they make money. So now the response has to be, all right, now I've got to figure out how to arbitrage that to something that I can then sell that makes more money, right? So that's basically the game in marketing at this point. And if you just end up in like a paid war, it's just like a bloodbath. Everyone's paying.
And that's why it's so tough in the marketing space right now, is because, yes, somebody can go, a company or PR can say, oh, we went viral because this is what we did and everything else. But by the time that article already gone viral, by the time you sign with this agency, the algorithm has changed. It's constantly shift world. It's like, what's the next thing? Like, how do you make the next one go? Because what you did there does not work for this one, concluding the story, whatever it is. So the struggles they have of constantly shifting, that's crazy.
It's like what I saw with e-commerce, right? Like all these people, Amazon wanted to build their third-party marketplace. So they opened up this huge thing. It was a bonanza for all these people. You got like Thrasio and all these people rolling them up. Blah, blah. Everybody's doing it. I remember my son coming in and talking to me about how he's going to like do FBA kind of business or something. And then Amazon's like, all right, now we're going to completely monetize this now that you've all helped us build it. You're on our rented ground and we're going to just totally like take all the money out of it. And now no one makes any money. It's just a brutal grind of, and Amazon just keeps, hey, you got to pay more for advertising. You got to pay more for this. And it's like, so if you build your strategy, this is what I worry about with the LinkedIn thing. It's like, don't build your whole strategy. Use LinkedIn. Now you take advantage of the algorithm because they want to build this author thing, right? They want more people engaged in a different way than before because of TikTok and stuff. So like, yes, take advantage of it, but you have to have something that converts them out of LinkedIn, or else LinkedIn's going to turn that screw and all of a sudden your entire customer acquisition process just got screwed.
I mean, you're constantly moving the field goal post, and no matter what you do. I mean, it might work, but you have to be willing to not say, oh, this is everything. You've got to be looking, what's next? What's next? It's a constantly evolving space. And it's like, it's impossible. Like you wake up and you're like, okay, what did I just do? All right, that didn't work. I got to do the next thing.
Exactly. Awesome, Cliff. This has been great. Where do people reach out if they are interested in selling blueberry popsicles?
I'm on X, and LinkedIn is the easiest place to find me.
X, is it Cliff Kennedy, your handle?
Yeah.
Okay. And then LinkedIn, Cliff Kennedy, look for Frios, Frios popsicles. The trend sweeping the nation. If you want in on the new Ben and Jerry's, this is it.
That's it. The next Kona Ice.
That's right. The next Kona Ice. That's awesome, Cliff. We appreciate you being on.
Thanks, pal. See you soon.
You've been listening to the Small Business Mentor podcast, brought to you by Alan Pence. For more insights on how to navigate your business through its black holes, visit @apence on X. Don't forget to search for Small Business Mentor in your podcast app to subscribe. Thank you for joining us, and here's to your next leap in business growth.